Public Works meeting to order. And so first thing is all board members are here. Curtis, Justin Lee, Richard Nichols, and Bob Heffernan. Ex-officio, we have the mayor and Robin Davis, our general manager, Sharon Sexton, assistant general manager, and Mike Hoffman, solicitor. So,
Okay, Tom.
I think I missed something on the top. So, having said all that,
Seems like it's input.
Just go ahead.
It's because I had kids.
You can have mine.
technology is a wonderful thing. So first, do we have the standing room stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Thank you. All right, moving on to number 3. So the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Or would anyone?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right along. So we have, I think everyone's familiar, our practices for the last number of months have been, so we have a call to the public before the meeting and a call to the public after. And so the call to the public now is members of the public wishing to address the board on any BPW related matter, whether on tonight's agenda or not, should make their request known at this time. Please note that there will be no opportunity for additional public comment on matters listed on the agenda till the end of the meeting. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. No action or board discussion, including answering questions, will occur during the public comment period. However, the board president may ask staff to review a matter, or individual members of the board may ask that a matter be put on future agendas. So, call to the public. Please come forth, state your name and address.
Good afternoon, Alan Roth, 437 Kings Highway.
Okay.
I'll try to talk fast, get it all in 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I came tonight hoping that during your discussion of the wastewater treatment agreement, you might address a couple of points. Focusing on the text of the agreement, I was looking at specifically the provision that provides for a reservation for Lewes of 0.8 MGD, million gallons per day of sewage to Wolf Neck. I raise this with 2 questions in mind. The first is, as a member of the Planning Commission, we are about to undertake, and have not yet begun, but will soon, the comprehensive plan process for Lewes. One of the elements of that process includes a discussion of potential future annexation. I have no idea where that's going to land. I have no idea what the members of the Planning Commission or ultimately the council will have to say or think about that subject. But one question I have is whether in your discussions with the county, that issue was considered in coming up with this number. The second question I have, and I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm not trying to be cheeky about this. It's just a question that arose in my mind. But when I say I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, I commend you, Mr. Chairman, all the members of the board, Robin and his team, for all the work that I know over the past several years has gone into this. But I was trying to find what is the current number of average daily flow. And looking on your website, the only thing I could find was a PowerPoint that goes back a couple of years from one of your public meetings, and that was on January 23rd, 2023. And one of the slides in that PowerPoint said that the current observed ADF is 0.9 MGD, and said that BPW conservatively estimates that on the assumption that all available lots are developed per current zoning designations, the 2050 average daily flow will increase to 1.75 MGD. I don't know where any of these numbers came from. I don't know whether things have changed, whether these estimates have been changed over the past couple of years. But 0.8 right now struck me as inconsistent with that estimate from a couple of years ago. And so I hope somebody during the discussion of the agreement would address that gap, as well as the potential annexation issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan. So anyone else from the public? All right, then moving on. Item 9 under old business is
Number 5.
thank you very much. At least someone's paying attention.
We're getting out real early.
All right, Inframark.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
So the first thing I will point out is that we did not send over a Gantt chart this month. That's only because the projects previously listed have been completed, which is in the report. We're looking at projects moving forward, but we haven't actually started anything as of right now. So that will be on the next month's report. We'll have a new Gantt chart with all the new upcoming projects. The chemical coating was completed on the containment areas for both the hypo, caustic, and the chemical tanks were also installed. So we have new caustic tanks, new hypo tanks, and new citric acid tanks. We did make a switch in chemical vendors, which leaves BPW wide. So we're no longer using Hawkins, we're now using Coin Chemical. The Neo water trial is concluding. We've actually gotten it down to about 7 gallons a day for the Neo water. We were using about 60 gallons a day for alum. Our numbers have been good. The only spikes we've seen in the phosphorus came from a clogged pump, not from the actual chemical itself. We still didn't exceed. I've been in contact with the county. They've seen no issues with the sludge for any false positive on the arsenic, which was a concern. We've had the phosphorus tested weekly during the trial, and all the numbers have been good. At this time, I would recommend that we make a change from the alum to the Neo water. So that will be up to Robin and Sharon to approve, but that is the current recommendation. The recovery cleans were completed on all trains. We did have to swap the membranes from 3 to 4, and
How difficult was that?
it was challenging. It wasn't the best time. It's a little rough, but we're in talks to have that gate replaced. It's just proving difficult to get all the parts. Our maintenance cap for the year, which we sent out last month, we just have a couple things we need to rectify. But as of right now, came in at $114,009.76. So it was $34,000 over. However, it was a decrease of $42,749 from last year's maintenance cap. So we actually went down by quite a significant bit. I would also point out that of the $34,000 we are over, $22,992.84 is only from generator rental that we still have at pump station 4. So that is the lion's share of our overage for the maintenance cap this year. I did include 2 Veolia reports as well due to the meeting time, so we did have 2 of those in here. Other than that, do we have any questions?
I was wondering why we didn't cover November in most of your report.
The only reason we didn't cover November is because certain things like the DMR can't be completed because our final test results aren't in from the end of November. So when we have the January meeting, it will cover November and December.
You probably told me that last year too.
May have.
In your work orders for October, you've got the same corrective action 4 times. Did it happen 4 times, or the process pump 35 is 1, 2, 3, and 4?
So that's process pump 35-1. So it's 4 different process pumps. So we have 4 different pumps, and that corrective action was done. It was essentially a hose relief was changed out on all 4 process pumps at the same time.
Okay. The October report on the county's contribution, if I can find that, there were a few days at the end of the month where they hardly sent anything. Was that because we asked them not to? Or were we having an issue? Or is it, on the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, it was only about a high of 172,000 gallons and a low of 130,000.
I don't recall asking them to back it down. If I had to guess, they may have been trying to lower the monthly average. So I know we do have a number they try to stay under, and if they felt they were getting close, they will sometimes back it down.
Okay. And Veolia had recommended an extra weekly hypochlorite maintenance clean on UF4. Are we doing that?
So I believe that was pre the recovery clean.
Recovery clean? Okay.
So since then, I believe the numbers are much better now.
Okay. And I apologize for missing the quarterly inspection.
It happens.
Well, Jeff, if Barbara doesn't have any more, one thing that keeps appearing in here is that the skid steer needs new tires.
Yes.
And
missed that one.
we can't fix that?
I mean, we can call about tires, but again, it kind of comes down to, I believe it did go out. I believe Emmett picked it up and took it to Iron Source. They did the maintenance service on it, but they did not replace the tires.
It's not ours.
No, it's not ours. It is yours.
It's who?
It's BPW, it's not Inframark.
Okay, so it'd be our responsibility to get new tires.
So again, now he did take it for the service, and the service was completed, the tires were not replaced.
But they said they needed to be replaced.
Yes.
What's the reason?
I couldn't answer that. Other than potentially just being 2 separate vendors, because I believe Iron Source does the service, and I think Hitchens does the tire replacement.
Yeah, Hitchens does tires.
So that might have been something that was supposed to be followed up with and just never got followed up with.
Councilor, are you asking why the tires need to be replaced?
Yeah.
So, are they old or
They're, I believe one's
dry
flat.
rotted or? That would be a good reason.
Well, it just appeared twice. I thought I would ask to see if we can move this on to the next step. And it
Unfortunately,
sounds like Robin is going to take that next step.
with the skid steer, the being on the asphalt and the design of that, because it's not tracks, it's tires, we tend to eat through them a lot faster.
Okay.
And I did have a couple other.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry
okay.
for interrupting.
That's okay.
Go right ahead.
The compactor fail, what was that about on the 29th and 30th of October?
So the compactor failed in true form 2 weeks after the warranty expired. So we had the compactor fail. We contacted JWC. The initial assessment, it was an overload. It's a special overload that can only be programmed by JWC in California. We ordered a replacement. It took several weeks to come in. We replaced it. That didn't fix it. Then we thought it was the contactor. We got new contactors. We installed those. That is not it. Currently, they think it could be the PLC.
And this compactor, where is it?
This is in the head building.
The headworks?
This was done in the headworks upgrade. So it
Right,
went on.
that's what I thought.
Into service, I believe it was October 13th, and then it failed the end of October. So we can run, so essentially the auger will kick off, we can run it in hand, but right now we just have it running consistently. So the auger that pushes the solids forward,
Yeah.
we have running constantly, because if we try to put it into auto, it'll fail when it tries to run.
And I'm sorry, what did you say the lead time is on that?
So the overload was 4 to 6 weeks, which took 4 to 6 weeks. And we got that in, we replaced it, it did not fix the problem. But that was the issue. So when we talked to JWC, they said, oh, it's because it came up as an overload fail. They told us what the problem was. That overload, that particular overload was also an issue during install. So we replaced it. That didn't fix it. The contactors were replaced today. That also didn't fix it. And now they're looking at the PLC.
Okay. So they really know how to set their warranties, don't they?
Absolutely, right on there.
Yeah. I also wondered, I didn't see anything here about the status of the water reuse project. Is that back?
So they will be out tomorrow. So they're going to be out tomorrow to replace, we were waiting on the adapters for the pumps for the old EQ tank. So those are going in tomorrow, and he'll be out tomorrow to walk the system. As it stands, it looks like the most likely option will be a pressure valve on the line. We're gonna discontinue use of the tank. There'll be a pressure valve on the line with a return that'll go into the tank pre-UV. So the pump will just run constantly. And then when pressure is needed, the valve will open and send it to the headworks. But he's gonna come tomorrow, we're gonna assess the system and get us a quote to have it up and running completely.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I learned from asking, I saw the financial numbers. I asked Kim some questions, and then she told me, my initial question was, why are we up in pumping and hauling $40,000 from last year? And part of the answer was, we're not using the drying beds anymore, and people have raised their prices, and the county's not doing it anymore. So my real question is, I think, for Robin, which is that going to continue, or is there a solution that we can address? And I don't really need to know now, but I think $40,000, is going to be 60 by the time we're at the end of the year, and that becomes real money.
There was a brief conversation at one of the last several meetings that possibly closing in the drying beds so they can be utilized again.
Right, and that takes a little bit of capital, but, let's say the February meeting or something, you could tell us what you want to do.
I mean, last time we looked at putting covers on the drying beds, the problem is that it's Cat 3 hurricane wind, and putting any type of a cover on created tremendous uplift. And so the structure, I mean, it was not considered to be cost effective.
But I think we
Is that
can
your
check.
recollection?
Yep.
So,
I think there was a further discussion at that other meeting was that
is there potentially an option to not have to meet that rating?
Yeah, and I do remember that discussion.
correct.
Relative to, a lightweight structure with plastic on top of it that would blow away during a hurricane.
Right, just
But
take
you
it
have
off
to-
during the hurricane.
You have to be careful about creating missiles. So, yeah, I think we put this on the agenda.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of, while it would save money, or potentially, it could cost as much or create more risk. And I'm not sure what the answer is.
Okay, that's why I wanted an answer.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I think that's what I want to add is, we did have the wastewater treatment walk down last week? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks. And GMB was there, and BPW was there. I personally have never seen the plant in better condition. I mean, it's really coming along. The replacement of the tanks, the epoxy coating of the containment wells, the replacement of the heaters, and just the overall cleanliness, and especially of the headworks building. I think you guys would be commended on that.
We do appreciate it. We try hard and we like to take good care of it.
Yeah, I think the last big thing on the list is the doors in the chemical building.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that's a joint discussion,
Yeah.
but for the board's information, there are 2 sets of doors on the chemical building. One is a BFD, and it's for getting the chemical tanks in and out. And the other one is the regular door. And the one for getting the chemical tank basically is not openable anymore. I mean, the hinges are gone, it's beyond use. And the personnel door is also rusted on the bottom and decayed. I mean, the salt water intrusion and the chemical nature of the building. So that's one of the things that, was high on my list there. Anyway, anything else?
No.
Thank you very much.
I will add also just, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this in a previous meeting or not, but I know that some of you had met with Jerry Shoup in the last several years. So Jerry has taken a new position. He's still a similar position, but he's now down south. So we do have a new regional vice president over top of our region. He's been making the rounds. So at some point, he may want to come by and see the plant and possibly meet with some or all of you.
And where's he located?
He is out of Rhode Island. So his name is David Gapo. He's been in wastewater for 26 years, and he also did a stint with an environmental engineering firm out of Maine for 6 years. So he's well-versed in the industry.
And Gapo, G-E?
G-A-I-P-O.
Nothing like what I've heard.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah. All right, let's see if we can go in order this time.
I think you're up, aren't you?
Well, we can skip me. So I guess the first thing is, as everyone's aware, we had a pipe break. I'm going to let Robin talk to this more. But I really think, I mean, as bad as having a pipe break is, no customers were impacted except for 15 minutes maybe for 3 customers. And I really want to commend the staff and the crews. It was a miserable day. They were out there from 7:30 till 4:30, 5 o'clock. And in the bitter cold, in water, and they really did a great job in restoring it. We still have patchwork to do to go on. But I think I'm going to let Robin talk about the actual incident, but as usual, the staff and the crews came through. And, the city should, the police department was there to help out, put barricades up. It was an all-around effort, so. So as far as meetings, I attended the joint session as everyone else from the board did. We had a BPW work, and remember, this is a November, December meeting, so it's extended. So we had the BPW workshop on the wastewater treatment plant, which is on the agenda for later on tonight. Met with Sarah McBride, Mayor and City Council meeting, leadership meeting. We had the BPW holiday lunch last Friday, which was, our way of saying thank you to the staff and the crew. And it was well attended and enjoyed by most. And,
By most.
well, I'm going to leave room for improvement. I did have a couple of gripes. So anyway, so Rob, you're up.
Okay, just to follow up on the leak, it was Monday. Emmett called me around 7 o'clock, said that they had a water leak out on Gills Neck Road at the intersection, near the intersection of Savannah Road. Crews mobilized, went out. They emailed Ellen Lorraine and the chief to kind of give them an update what's going on. The crews barricaded from Savannah Road to Road Line with leaving access to the residents and to Dogfish. We started shutting down the water. Originally, we thought we could isolate it. We had to kind of shut off some at Front Street for a few minutes, and then some of the residents on Gills Neck. But after locating and shutting down the valves, we were able to turn the water back on. And as Tom said, they were probably out maybe 15 minutes at the most. So no water disruption for the rest of the day. The guys dug up around, excavated the area. Pipe was about 7 foot in the ground. 12-inch main had cracks in it. They got it cleaned up, put a band around it, isolated it, got it squared away. Water was turned back on about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Crews left totally after they filled the hole up temporarily about 7 o'clock. As Tom said, the guys did a great job. I mean, they were out there. It was cold. I was out there with them. What little bit I did, but they were out there. They did a great job.
And so on a humorous note, we were keeping track. It was sidewalk and curb 1, our crews 0. The concrete that was used in that section of curbing and sidewalk was, I refer to as nuclear grade. I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, the aggregate was granite, and there was only 2 pieces of minor rebar in it, but it was tough. But the crew did not give up. So I didn't threaten to drop my head on it. But
Was the repair permanent, or is it, we gonna get
We
that?
got a band on it now. It's fine, yeah, because it's next to a, it's sort of a line stop valve. That was, yeah, that should be fine, yeah. Mhm. Yep.
So how much does an event like that cost approximately?
Well, we had most of the day, not counting me out there was 3 staff members. The water department was out there. Then 1 came in the afternoon, so there was 4 out there all day long from, say, 8 o'clock until 7 o'clock at night. Had a mini excavator, had the backhoe out there, had a dump truck, had 3 or 4 vehicles out there. Pumps. So, I mean, it's...
And then as far as costs go, we have to replace the entire sidewalk basically from
That's why
the
I'm
corner
kind of
of the
asking,
turn
is that
to the pump station.
$20,000, $10,000?
It's way more than $10,000. It's because it's got to half the road. You got to pull at least half the road up because is out at the edge of the road. So, yeah, it's a cost. But it's, I have no idea, Bob, to give you, I mean, I can give you an analysis and do it if you would like.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I
Okay.
mean, just for,
We can do that.
And when they opened up the sidewalk, they finally got the sidewalk open, the erosion, the size of it was as big as my swimming pool, let me put it that way. It was totally covered until we started opening it up, or they started opening it up.
I don't need the last 45 cents, but, like the first two, the ones that are far to the left of the thousands, I'd like to be curious about.
Do you think that part of the sidewalk was put in during getting the bridge over there? That bridge was moved there.
It's very new concrete. It's not really aged. I mean, I would say it's probably no more than 3 years. Just by the oxidation and on that bridge.
I don't remember any work over there the last 3 years.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
Because you can actually see the parting line, because the curve from the Savannah onto Gill's Neck is heavily oxidized. It's old. I mean, it's really serviceable. And then there was Oakham, and then there's a new section all the way to the curb stop to get into the pump station, or maybe just before that. I can't remember.
Wow.
But I don't know why.
Yeah, there's probably going to need to be 4 or 5 sections of sidewalk to be replaced, other than the 3 that he took out.
Find that kind of concrete again.
I joked with them and I tried to tell him he had to break it. I thought we was going to put it right back.
Because, I mean, without getting too far off track, when Emmett pulled the first sidewalk piece up, it came up in one piece. And he was gripping it, and he turned it, and it still didn't break. And then he drove over it. And it's like, and that's going to come out of his paycheck. Because we were going to put it back in with just a little epoxy. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, as far as some of the department activities for myself, as Tom said, I participated in the quarterly walkthrough at the wastewater plant. Met with city representatives to provide input on the October weather nor'easter event and for after action report that they'll be submitting to the EOC. Sharon, Kim, and I have been holding budget meetings with department managers. We held an on-site meeting with GMB and DH, Department of State Housing, on the pump station 17 possible removal. Reviewed and input some data for the city's comprehensive plan. The assistant general manager, she participated in the required NIMS 400 training, which was fun. As part of the city's dark sky pilot program subcommittee, she's working with HydroCorp on the cross connection verifications. She's training Alyssa, our new executive assistant. And working with the state on the lead and copper inventory submissions. We have, at the request of Bob, I put some information in about the electric department and the water departments. We had some call outs. They vary from month to month. On the electric side, the 2 previous months, we had no call outs. Not all that is our issue. Sometimes we have little squirrels run on the lines and they don't make it.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So they some of the projects they did, the big project we had some old transformers from the battery storage project. They were able to contact the company that we purchased our transformers from. They took the old transformers back, and we could potentially get up to $35,000 for the 4 transformers. It's all determined by how good the oil is in the transformers. They'll test them at the factory when they get them back, and then that's how we get priced out. So we've got something that we are fortunate that we can probably get some money from and get them off our lot. As far as the water, there was 5 call-outs for last month. They had some water leaks they had to repair. Participated in some walkthroughs for some ongoing projects. We had a water leak at the wastewater plant. That was a service line, 2-inch service line. That was to a hydrant at the digester. They got that fixed. As part of the city's requirement for fire suppression, we have to do monthly fire flow testing so they can size the fire suppression systems for the contractors. We had a rollout of the welcome package for our new customers from the admin side. As far as development projects, we got ongoing this water storage tank project. There's been a delay in the crews coming back on site, but they are coming back in January and still have said they will have the project done by September. They feel confident in that. And we keep pushing that every time we have a progress meeting. The wellfield header project is complete. We have a walkthrough on the 15th.
On that, I've asked for a measurement of the flow.
Yeah, we're working on that. Yep.
Good, thank you.
Yep. The Hornkill project is moving along. Actually received looks like they're going to submitted an SED permit. So we're working on permitting for the project. Hopefully bidding will go out January, February timeframe. Look for an October 2026 completion date for all that. As far as the 4th Street, we'll talk that a little more on an agenda item. And we have the Alaska Avenue Overlook project. The Overlook is it used to be the carriage house of Cape and Lupin. Townhouses, I think 11 on that corner by Dairy Queen. We had the contractor install our portion of the water along with their project. Save from having to go out to bidding on our own. They were mobilized and did it. We got to go out and do a rebidding on the relining of the sewer. We had bids come in. We only had one bid. It was too late. We're going to have to rebid. We're going to change up the bidding a little bit on that. As far as staffing, we've got 2 new hires. We have Melissa Rowe here and our executive assistant, and Melissa Levitt. She's returned back to us. She missed us, so she came back after several months of absence. We have some longevity awards. Josh Gruden is here. He has 10 years of service. Chris Parson is in our water department, has 5 years. Patrick Summers is in our electric department, has 5 years. Safety days, right now we have total days, we have 113 as of this report. We had some training opportunities that we're trying to do more of for the staffing. Upcoming event, the parade's already over, but I had it down at 7 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. Hope nobody's seen it. And showed up at 7. Our next joint meeting with the city is Monday, January 26th at 1 o'clock at the Rollins Center. And our regular meeting, the next one is January 28th at 4 o'clock here in this office here.
Along those lines, Benjamin Franklin made a guest appearance at the parade, and he marched there representing the BPW and assisted in the tree lighting.
All right. Question, everybody loves the snowflake lights that BPW put up, and I get a lot of questions about, can't we have more? Can't we expand the area of the city where we have them? And since the mayor's here, I'm kind of directing the question to her.
Oh, that's right, we're not using
You don't need that.
I know. We have asked BPW, and Robin and Sharon agreed that we're going to keep them up longer because they are snowflakes, so they'll stay up till February 1st. So that will meet some of the need. And then we'll look for next year what we're going to do with that. There are a lot of people that want to donate, but they want the snowflake in front of their house. So if we're going to do the program, we're going to have to really look at it as, if you'd like to donate to the city's snowflake lighting, we're interested. So we'll look at it for next year in cooperation. We'll do it at our leadership meeting.
And a lot of that too goes to, there's not a plug on all that, there's certain lights, poles only have plugs on it.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a small snowflake and a
Yep.
large snowflake, and
Yep.
some people, so there are a few pieces, hard to imagine.
Thank you.
yes, but the plan is to keep them up longer this year to
nice.
probably end of January.
Yeah, so thank you guys for being so responsive. People really, I have just briefly, a great nephew who said, if you ever become mayor, can the snowflake stay up longer? So I've let him know that his wish is coming.
I noticed the regular meeting of BPW we have is the 26th also.
That's what I said, it was the 28th. That's why I said it was the 28th, it was wrong. Yep.
All right, anything else?
Oh, when I just commented, when I looked at the list of projects, it just blows my mind. We read through this thing, we have a lot going on.
Correct.
I don't know how you keep it all straight, but thank you. I think I added up that we had 720 units being installed on this list.
Yeah. They've all been accounted for, I think, as part of what we always known with every year we do it for more for the energy side too, for the power, for DMAC. We have to supply
We
them
do
when.
load forecast and budget.
Yep.
Yeah, and we are trying to do a triage as projects come up. Because while there's all nice things that we would like to do, we need to get some of the critical work done. And, so we can focus attention. Because doing part and then putting it down and then coming back to it is very inefficient. So,
Can you talk a little bit about the PFAS work we're doing? What's going on?
Yep, so we have been awarded some grant money, and through that, we've done some testing of all 5 wells. That information has been sent over to G&B, and I believe that we're going to be getting a study after that wraps up. But here recently, they have let us know that there's an opportunity for another round of funding, so we're applying for that as well.
It's all for testing, it's nothing.
Well, it's going to kind of give you the study. It's like, should we go towards a additional well, maybe do it in a different location, or should we do a new treatment process for PFAS? So
the other idea about PFAS, the city has, and it's no cost.
It's no cost, it's free training.
PFAS 401.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
PFAS
It's
101,
not
it's
101.
PFAS
It's
401.
That's right. Very
About
technical
the state
training.
of the art, the state of technology. And so, I've sent that to Robin and Sharon for us to piggyback on, because I think it would be extremely useful.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have to decide, regardless of what the feds do, what we do.
Is this for board members as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a date yet. The contact just wanted to know interest, and I said, we're interested, and passed it to Tom, saying, I assume BPW colleagues would want to know this too. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I mean, Amy routinely sends, we're in constant communication, and she routinely, extends these type of offers to us, so. All right, moving on. The finance manager's report.
All right, so you have
You're up.
you have October. Next month you'll have November and December and quarterly, so it'll be a doozy. For October overall, for operations, we overperformed compared to budget by about $40,000. But due to impact fees coming in slower than expected, we are underperforming by about $60,000 on the bottom line. We set that up that it was going to be heavier at the last half of the year, specifically the last quarter. So if it does continue to go slow, you will see bigger gaps in our budget.
Like how much?
I can get to that answer.
So much.
Just on every agenda item, recognize Bob's going to ask
How much?
how much.
There's
That's
just a,
not, that's,
No, that's a reasonable question.
and just a couple notes, line 2 for commercial, there is a reading issue with Cape Henlopen State Park. There's an open service order for a meter change that has not happened yet, so I'm not sure how long this will be a reporting issue. So you may see it in the coming months. Line 3, industrial, SPI did not do their shutdown in October like they usually do. They are now looking at April, so their numbers are higher. And line 15, admin, we made a contribution to the defined benefits plan. We did not do one last year, so that is the difference there. For our year-to-date, overall operations overperformed compared to budget by about $425,000. Our bottom line looks way off because of the grant assistance. With adjustments for the grant assistance, we are overperforming by about $44,000. November, I did recognize the principal forgiveness for Donovan Smith. So when you see those reports next month, we'll be on track again. And for cash graphs, we continue to be able to move money from operations to our money market account. And we have exhausted our ARPA funds. As you can see, it's down to a $0 balance. So that line will be coming off for our future presentations.
any questions for Kim? Thank you very much.
Well, wait.
Wait.
How much?
So, just last year, we were down $139,000 in investment income. At
For
this
change in market value.
change in market value.
So the
And this
market-
year, we're up 10,000, which is the right direction. Thank you to Richard's direction for the Finance Committee.
So this is more of a reflection of the market itself and the actual investments for our bonds and our stocks.
But last year was a pretty good year, too, really, for everyone else.
This specifically, October, was a bad month last year.
I'm looking at the year.
Yeah. So it going from $139,000 of a market adjustment loss to almost neutral is amazing.
Better.
And I assume, and this is probably a June question for Richard, that given the volatility of the market, that our investments are fairly secure and conservative.
Fairly.
We're very conservative. All of the new money that's going in is going into money market, so it's not affected by the well, I guess it is affected for your interest rate, but there's no adjustments. And the investments that we do have, I want to say it's like 82% right now is in bonds, and then the rest is going to be in stocks.
So with the Federal Reserve looking like they're going to cut rates at the next meeting, I mean, that could affect money market accounts.
By about 0.25%.
The times we live in.
Yeah,
Well, okay, but compared to where we were last year,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
it's
No, I'm looking going forward.
better management of the investments.
All right. I If there's nothing else, we'll move on. Item 9, the resiliency, open forum general discussion on pump station resiliency study. And we have a document from GMB, and I'm going to turn this over to Robin.
Well, Ben is, from GMB, has provided the final version of the report, hopefully. Several months ago, we had a draft. Board was given an opportunity to review and make comments. Comments were submitted. GMB has incorporated those comments into the document, along with adding the some models of the rendering of the possibilities for the pump station at 5, look at California.
As well as the cost estimate.
Yeah, cost,
We have
yeah,
the cost
correct.
estimates.
Yep.
And I'll just note, this is what we would consider to be final. Obviously, if, you just received this, within the last week. So it's a large book. There's a lot to dive into. So, we're open to having more comments from you guys, as and we can address that, in January at the next board meeting, if there are comments.
So, Bob, I think you had some questions.
Well, my question really is what are you going to do now that we have all this information? There are several of them where there's considered poor, and there's where the overall condition is poor. The elevation is what it is. What are you going to do first? It's really a question for Robin I can take the last page here and say, pump station 9 was a moderate. Okay. Do I need to worry about that? So what are we going to do now?
So, Robin,
Well, again, if we just take the information from the report without doing any updates to it if the board decides. But that being said, on which pump stations, using the direction that was given to us by the board on prioritizing the upgrades to any of the pump stations in the floodplain, the direction on the recommendations of the mitigation committee was to go in the floodplain or flood zone order, starting at AE7, then AE8, then AE9. That was a recommendation. That was what was approved by the board. So if you use that philosophy and just take that as a way of assessing what needs to be done first, you take all the AE7s. There's basically, on this list of the pump stations, actually there's 20. There's the 4 main pump stations, 3, 4, 5, and 8 that were assessed in the GHD report, and then GMB did the other 16 in the report here. Using the recommendation of the board, there are 8 in the AE6 and AE7 zone. What we've done, talking with staff, we have excluded 4 and 7 out of that report for now because they could potentially be affected by what's happening with the agreement. 4 and 8, I'm sorry, 4 and 8, yes, correct. So
7, 8,
7, yeah, okay. Also, as on this list is pump station 11. Pump station 11 is going to be removed, and new pump station is going to be put into place. So actually, basically, it was in AE7. It can be taken off the list. So that narrows the list down. That would put, of the 8, taking 5, I would give you 5 left. And that was what Bob had asked me to look into, and the order of the 5. Looking at these is kind of difficult because some of these are newer pump stations, but there's issues with them as far from the resiliency standpoint. And if that's what we're looking at from the resiliency, then the recommendation would be 34, 14, 10, 32, and 36.
In that order?
In that order.
But that's strictly based upon,
Strictly based on what the guidance have been given to us. Yep. Doing all off the resiliency, getting all the critical equipment out of the critical, up above the critical elevation. You could also say 10, pump station 10 is in Captain Circle at the reserves at Pilottown Park. Realistically, the property is, part of the property is in an AE7. The structure itself is in an X zone, so it is not in the floodplain. So again, it's a technicality of saying, do you go ahead and do it? Because it's in a flood zone, the property is, but the structure is not. There are probably, the structure itself looks like the bottom of the cabinet is already exceeding the critical level. So there, the repairs to it may be a little bit less than something that is below the critical level. But it's on the list as one of the 5. There is another way of looking at this, as far as instead of taking just the resiliency part of it, the conditions of the pump stations. That would have to make, we would have to make a change or a revisions to how the policy is of, we're going by the floodplain designations first, instead of using the conditions as part of an assessment.
We have a deadline for each of those.
That's what I'm saying. We would have to, if we do it any other way, we're going to have to alter that, I would say, because that was a direction the board gave us at an approved.
right, so the question to the board is, do we want to go on, continue with doing it by AE zones? Or do we want to do it based upon AE zones and condition?
Right.
Because in my mind, it makes little sense for a moderate pump station, which needs work, to take priority over a poor pump station. So I think, Mike, can we actually do that now?
Yep.
So what I would put forth is ask you for a motion to revise the board's direction to staff to come up with what to prioritize based upon condition and flood zone, and to use that to come up with the top 5 list.
So moved.
That makes sense. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm going to vote against it then. No, aye. Okay, great. All right.
And in doing that, speaking with Jeff during the budget discussions, we had this discussion on other pump stations, what's the priority, using the information that GMB has given us on the conditions assessments that they did. The majority of these, or all these pumps, the 5, the new list, were in an AE8 zone. And what we feel in the order of preference would be 5, 6, 15, 74, 83.
I'm sorry, what was that?
5, 6, 15, 74, 83. 5 was at the top because it was noted in the, basically because it was noted in the GHD report as, being a critical pump station, and the conditions warrant some upgrades, the need for upgrades. Also, this is part of the GMB packet that we have here on the study, on the design, a possible design of the pump station there. Pump station 6, the age is basically from 1960. The cabinet's at below, it's almost at an 8. So it's basically 4 foot below where it should be. There's major upgrades. Electrical needs to be replacing piping. Valves are messed up. And with all this, most of it, we included the price that GMB put in was including bypass connections. I can go down the list of the reasons why, if you would like.
I don't see 5 on the summary list on the last page of the report.
It's not there.
Because it was on the GHD report,
Okay,
along with 3, 4, and 8.
okay.
GHD or GM?
GHD report.
G-
Yep, the GHD report is the one that had the original 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why 5 is shown as, I think, as a separate from, it's in the report, but study assessment and one of them, yeah.
And the basis for the cost estimates on raising the control panel, what was the 110,000? What did that represent for each of the pump stations?
So we used the cost estimate for just the regular, I'll say the elevated platform that's on the screen now. Kind of the lowest cost option, because that solves the problem that, is at hand. There's obviously other discussions to have, if you want to do something more, but for the quality basis, is we wanted to show it all as one, based on one option.
And the fixed ladder really cost $2,700 or $3,000?
I mean, yes, we had our structural engineers give us some of this pricing, so.
Wow.
And it's realistically, it's all dependent on the exact height of the station that it needs to be. So sometimes it's a bigger ladder, sometimes it's a smaller ladder. We kind of just had to put, instead of developing, we wanted to give just kind of a broad brush approach to the pricing, like we were talked about last meeting.
Okay.
So it would be nice if we had the money to do recommended and the originally recommended before the end of the deadline. Is that unrealistic? Is it 30?
I'm not, I didn't hit
6
all,
years away?
well, you're talking 30 was basically 5 years away, probably less.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But you get into 4 years away now.
Yeah.
In case you say beginning of 30 or end of 30. But that's. Again, looking at just the AE7, AE8, the ones in AE8 are the ones that are more, it seems like, needs more repair. I'm not saying pump station 14. I mean, it's at Harbor View. I mean, it's the overall condition that, the assessment that GMB did, it's the condition, just in general condition, it's overall good. And so it's not, but it's.
We have a lot of work to do, but, taking the first bite of the 5 that Robin suggested, and then, looking to how we're going to fund the rest of them down the line, because we do have, we all harped on, we do have a lot of aging infrastructure. And so, but we have to choose which ones we do for the public. We have to go to our ratepayers and explain how we're going to fund it. So.
Another question I had, looking at the cost estimates, some of them have a CA and inspection 10%, contingency 30%, and some have contractor overhead and profit 35% and contingency 20%. And I wondered what made you decide which to use?
Yeah, that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
That should have all been corrected to be the same. I apologize on that.
So I'd like the lower number.
Are some of those package units?
No, none of these are. I mean, none of them are package units. They'll all be kind of custom built. Yeah.
We like custom.
To an extent. Yeah.
But it would seem that you got to take the priorities that Robin suggested, put them into the funding, start the money finding part, and roll through the first one, and maybe we can do it for less money and roll faster. But, you know, you got at least 4 of these that are called poor overall assessment, and, you know, would probably be in anybody's long-term maintenance budget, so they ought to move in there.
So, I think we can just direct staff to do that. We don't need an actual motion, but we need to direct staff to do that and bring it back in January.
Correct.
With the priorities Robin has articulated.
Well, we already voted on that, so.
Do you want it to be brought back as a separate item, or as we're working on the budget, we're already thinking we're going to be putting these pump stations in the budget, and you can take a look when we do our budget review? What's your choice?
I think we'd like to see the overview first, and then we just, then after that, we can start.
I think January,
Yeah.
even if it's just, you know, the 5 pump stations, to give an update to the board. And then, because the budget itself is going to be big enough.
Not wrong.
Looking at this particular one from California that's put in the board with all the equipment on it, could that be hinged down so it's laying flat and then moved up when you had to use it? I mean, the people in California are going to love having a bulletin board like that in front of their house. But I mean, could that happen? Could that be folded down?
I would say I would need to talk with our, I think conceptually, yes,
Yeah.
I would need to talk with our electrical.
Seems to me you could.
Guy, because one of the things we had talked about previously was in the lighthouse approach, having it kind of be on a pulley system, move around, and he kind of nixed that because of safety concerns of, you know, that platform moving around. So I want to say yes, but I would need to vet
take a
that.
look at it, because that would really save a lot of.
It's a good idea. I think one of the big questions is any of the equipment orientation sensitive? That's,
But just look at it.
Right.
It would really make a big difference, I think, to the homeowner there.
Agreed. And one thing I would note, you know, the structure size here is, you know, say 10 and a half feet by 7 feet. We were able to on Hornkill, because it's a little bit less equipment. I can't promise that for this one, but we were able to shrink that size down to be about a 5.5 by 5.5. So if we can optimize that size, you know, we're obviously going to try to do that.
Yeah.
I like the metal one better. This one. And it looked like it was cheaper too.
It's a little cheaper, yeah.
Yeah.
The staff
the wood
recommendation
seems
was 1.
Deteriorate.
That was a 1. Looking at the recommendation would be 1. The 2 is done, it's the fence. It's a fence either way.
Yeah.
Is the metal fence open through, or is it, I'm just thinking about floodwaters.
Yeah, it's flow throughable.
Correct.
Yeah. There's gaps in it.
The wooden one would not be, which would probably be best to have some sort of flood openings to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a very good point, because, yeah, A2 is an open filigree type.
And less maintenance than taking care of wood rot.
Yeah, just don't know what the metal's
Just,
gonna be.
get that good on that. Stainless steel would be best. Yeah. Oh.
That's true.
Yeah, aluminum is not really, with salt, I think aluminum is not a choice.
So it's got to be stainless.
I was thinking aluminum. Okay, so that probably affects the price.
Yeah.
I don't think you priced out stainless steel. I don't think we priced out.
Any metal on the beach side, everything,
Yeah.
rusted.
Maybe lattice for the wood one then instead of solid. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we could probably look at some other wood.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but don't use anything but stainless. Don't use anything but stainless, you'll regret it.
All right, anything else on this one?
Okay.
I think we're ready to move on.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ben.
Old business 10, open forum general discussion on 4th Street project in Burton neighborhood.
All right, just got a little bit of update. GMB continues to work on the design and layout of the initial 4th Street Park Avenue project. Staff met with GMB on December 5th. They showed us the latest concept of the layout for the proposed water and sewer. We reviewed it, made some comments, minor changes overall, nothing major. As directed by the board, GMB is preparing a supplemental loan application, which would include the infrastructure work on Burton, Painter, DuPont, and Johnson Avenues, the additional streets in the neighborhood. Like I said, GMB is still working on that application. The application would be submitted to the state agencies in January for a review by WEAC in March of 2026. That's their next meeting is March. We've been told if approved, the documents could be ready for signatures within 6 to 8 weeks. That would, I wouldn't say significantly move the timeline for any of this project if we move forwards with the project compared to doing a full application, which needed a longer review time. There's probably some ease of incorporating the projects together. Staff is trying to finalize some CCTVing of the sewer and the stormwater in those other four streets to see if we can possibly take advantage of some of the conditions of the piping that maybe they were in good a shape as they were on 4th Street and not have to do anything to those, but we have to find out when we get the data back from the Camry.
So I think one of the other things we want to clear up is, to the folks in the project area, the application needs to go in about 6 weeks before we act.
Yep.
So that would mean that we're talking in the January timeframe. And the work is ongoing now for that application. And so we're moving as quickly as we can, but we have other priorities, and we will make the 6 weeks prior to WEAC date for the supplemental.
Yeah, the last cost estimates we have for the additional work, that's total city project and BPW project, is just over $8.4 million. That would be the request for the supplemental, 8.4, added to what we already received funding for.
Which is
And to be
8,
clear, that
Which is-
8.4.
which is another 8, I think.
8.5.
Yeah.
That additional 8.4 includes us borrowing money for the city, for streets and curbs.
Yeah, yep. that
Just like we did in the
yep,
first
Yep, that
project.
includes,
Our portion of the supplemental is 5.5 and the city's is 2.9.
So when you say that after the WEAC meeting in March, if we're approved, it would take 6 to 8 weeks to get, is that what you said, to get the,
I believe that's what Keith told, from Denrac told,
so we're talking May, June kind of thing?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But remember, this is only for the supplemental.
Right.
Yep.
It does not hold up phase 1.
Right, right.
I just want to make sure the public is
Yes.
clear.
And
Lots of moving
when is
pieces.
phase one starting?
Well, if we have to incorporate that together, I mean, Ben can probably speak more on that. I think he put,
When you mean starting, you mean shovels in the ground, or, because technically we've already started?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shovels in the ground.
it's a Ben question.
shovels in the ground for phase one, but if it's combined together,
Based on the, I guess,
Up.
based on the current schedule is September-ish of 2026. If we, there's some other ways we could tackle the project that we want to, we could talk about, but 2026 is the start of phase one.
That's the
Which is
latest or
next
the
year.
earliest?
Just
When you say there's other ways to tackle the project, does that mean there's other starting dates?
Oh, no, that would be the earliest. That would be the earliest. I'm thinking, I'm probably going too far, but thinking about the additional phase work, how we tackle that. But phase one, the work that's contracted now, would start September 2026.
And bids would go out when? More or less?
Approximately May, June of 26.
And is there any long lead material mobilization in order to meet the September?
No, not really. I mean, we would bid it out for the typical 30-day period, and then we would receive the bids, review the bids, and then come to a board meeting to get your acceptance of that bid with the contract. And then by that time, after we do that, we have to sign the contracts, and that's just about 2 to 2.5 months. It kind of depends on when the bids come in, when the next board meeting is, how it all kind of falls in schedule. But I don't see any long lead time items in terms of the work. It's all kind of standard materials. It's just a lot of it.
So at the moment, it's 9 months away.
Correct.
9.5.
Yes.
Is that including nuclear grade concrete?
That was not priced in, but we can work on it.
Thank you.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. New business. Item 11. Open forum general discussion on a draft agreement with Sussex County concerning the wastewater treatment plant. So I'm going to start this out by just giving a brief overview of how we got here and how the negotiating team developed the agreement. So, flooding has been a concern discussed for over 5 years with our current wastewater treatment plant operations. The plant itself is not at risk right now because it's elevated above grade, but it's only at 9.3. And with sea level rise, and I think Press, your group had said that by
11.
2050,
Yeah. 11.26, something like that.
6-4.
6.4, okay, close.
and by 2050, we're going to be at real risk for inundating the plant. The first board level discussion was in early 2022. So this has been a long-term project for the board. Our first workshop, public workshop, was in February 23. We've had a total of 7 workshops, with the last one in October 25. And we've had various level of public engagement, comments through the workshops. We explored multiple options. So BPW and the county hired GHD to explore options. And I'm not going to go into everything from that one because we've moved on from that. But the first choice out of that was constructed wetlands at the Wolf Neck facility. That was disrupted when did the phase one archaeological and found some archaeological discoveries that prevented building a constructed wetland, and even more interfered with, converting to drip irrigation in the forest from the current spray irrigation. And Hans, put your hand up if I say anything stupid. So I usually say, Hans Medlar from the county is here. We spent one year exploring a joint regional solution. We had 10 meetings with the staff and council, and the offer was turned down in February of 25.
This was Rehoboth.
Rehoboth.
Rehoboth,
I'm not
Sussex
going to mention
County.
names. All right,
I think everybody knows.
Okay, Tom.
Secret's out.
yes, we had 10 meetings with Rehoboth Beach staff and council. We were there almost every month in front of council. And it was the county and us together. The offer was turned down in February 25, and their counter offer to us was, for lack of a better word, exorbitant. It was higher than any other option we had. So we parted ways, and BPW and the county then went on to develop a new solution, given the constraints of the archaeological and the constraints that we weren't going to get an ocean outfall. The negotiating team was Robin, Sharon, Barbara, with assistance by Kim, and on the county side, it was Todd Lawson, Hans Medlar, and Gina Jennings. And actually, Henry was there too, right? Yeah.
And don't forget yourself. You were on the negotiating team.
I was just convincing from the sideline. Yes, and myself. So now we're going to go into kind of the meat that is used to develop the agreement. So BPW would pump our wastewater to the Wolf Neck facility. And so we would no longer be in the wastewater treatment business. The county would take over pump stations 4 and 8. So pump station 4 is the one right at the corner of Savannah and Gills Neck. It's the main pump station for this side of the canal. And pump station 8 sits behind, used to be the This and That shop. It's right on the corner of American Legion Road and Savannah. And it's very old. It's not in very good condition, and it is really in the floodplain. The cost of pump station 4 and 8 would be, we would only pay our prorated portion, and they would be operated by the Sussex County and maintained by Sussex County. So basically, those 2 pump stations would be the county's responsibilities. And by the split that's in the agreement, we would actually pay for 20% of the cost of that, and the county would pay for 80%, just like every other cost of the project is split. At Wolf Neck, they would be discharging polished effluent. So because we're going back to the glade and to the canal, it will include tertiary treatment options to be able to bring the phosphorus and the nitrogen levels down. The demolition and cleanup of the existing BPW wastewater treatment plant would be on the county. And That would only happen after Wolf Neck is able to receive our flows. But once, and that will also be coincident with us transferring our NRPDS license, our permit, to the county. So the county can run a closed loop for a while, and because of their effluent or their ponds, and then, but once they start accepting our flow, we can no longer discharge the canal, and so it'll be complete turnover. The project capital costs are capped at $40 million to the BPW. Now it's capped at, so that's using conservative estimates right now for the cost of the project, and the fact that, and Alan, this is to your point, we would be taking 8 million or 800,000 gallons we would be sending to them. The difference is between the numbers you were talking about a planning commission is it's 800,000 gallons average annual flow. So
Daily.
it average
Daily.
annual daily flow. Thank you. Too many words in there. And so, during the winter, our flow rate is way down. And during the summer, it may be above, or it will be above 800,000. And this was including projected build out from our last build out study. And I don't remember when that was from you.
I can't remember exact date, no.
But, and answer your question, the build out, the annexation, was all weighed in various levels to this. And then the big difference is that it's average annual daily flow versus right now, we have to treat everything we get every day. We don't have that much of an equalization.
Plus, we take some from the county.
Yes.
Right.
That goes into the numbers that are likely to be picked up.
So in the winter, when our flow rates are way down, we take flow from the county. In the summertime, we take less. The negotiating team thinks that this scope and the agreement is the lowest cost option. And we have shared cost of operating of the Wolf Neck facility based upon our prorated share. Specialized expertise. The county will have dedicated staff to manage the treatment process, and they can share with their other wastewater treatment facilities back and forth. So it's not that they have only one treatment facility. They have the ability to share amongst. Infrastructure and reliability. The larger system can handle emergencies and backups more efficiently, especially because of the size of the lagoons they have at Wolf Neck. Environmental protection. It's reduced flood and wetland risk to our wastewater treatment plant. So, just to clarify, and we brought this up at every workshop, but the BPW will continue to own, pardon me 1 second. The BPW will continue to own, operate, and maintain the collection system, including piping, pump stations, and other infrastructure, with the exclusion of pump station 4 and 8. BPW will continue to be the sole point of customer concerns, contacts, and billing. BPW will have the sole responsibility of setting customer rates as the BPW does for stormwater, water, and electricity. I know, and this is kind of not as part of the agreement, but I know there's been a lot of questions at the workshops about what would happen to the land. The land is jointly owned by BPW and the city, and so any decision on the use of that property would have to be a joint decision. I think I can say from the board's perspective, we would prefer to see it as open space, but that is subject to negotiations with the city. Next steps, if the agreement is not approved tonight, we'll have to reconsider based on the concerns and redraft. If the agreement is approved tonight, the agreement will then be taken up by Sussex County at Sussex County Council. And Hans, I meant to call him Todd. I know you're trying to do it before the end of the year. Is that realistic, or is it gonna have to go to January?
No longer realistic because the agenda was said yesterday.
Okay, so it will come up in January's Sussex County Council. All right, that's my long-winded brief. So now we go to the draft agreement. So we have two agreements in front of us. We're going to take them one at a time. The first one is the draft agreement with Sussex County concerning the wastewater treatment facility. So it's been posted, it's been distributed, and I open it up now. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we approve the agreement between the Board of Public Works of the City of Lewes and Sussex County concerning wastewater treatment.
I'll second that.
Now, on the question, now is the time for discussion.
I would like to say that I originally ran for BPW board because I was concerned about what was going to happen with the wastewater treatment plant. And I had attended some of the early workshops, and I was all in favor of the idea of the constructed wetlands in the county, and was very disappointed when that proved to be not possible. I don't know that this is actually the lowest possible option, but it's the lowest low-risk option. And I think it's responsible for us to choose to get out of risk and spend a little bit more money to do so. And having been on the negotiating team, I think this is a very fair agreement. Sussex County gave, I think we covered all the issues of importance for future and for current. And I'm happy with the agreement as it stands.
And just to clarify on your amplifying list, while theoretically hardening the facility might be lower cost, the risks associated with it, you still have an island, you're working on a very tight facility, and you're moving a lot of dirt and driving pilings, and the risk to disturbing something during that process. So that was, originally I was all behind hardening, and then the more I started to look into it, I think the risks outweighed any savings.
The biggest risk I saw was getting the people to the plant when there's a flood and getting the sludge out of the plant. And those weighed heavily in my support for the current decision.
I agree with you totally on that. I think that this group, our board and the county, particularly Hans, has brought this to fruition, and a lot of hard work on everybody's side. But I think it was a good process. I think all through it, I think this board and the county have been transparent about what we're doing and brought the citizens in multiple times to get the input. And I think the fact that there's very few people here this evening is the comfort that hopefully the citizens of this town feel with this decision.
Yeah, I just want to amplify one thing. Hans was instrumental. Gina and Kim were equally instrumental in working through the finances and coming up with agreements. Todd has been instrumental in keeping everything together and driving it forward. So the county has been, I think, I will echo Barbara's comment. We gave, the county gave, it's a good agreement all around.
I think that Barbara's response was very concise and considered a fundamental change in viewing the future. When she first got involved and participated and saw the landscape change and picked up the critical element of risk aversion among the choices that were presented. So, having listened to the discussions of the negotiating team, I am fully behind proceeding with this solution.
Before we go, I just want to add my comment to yours. Barbara was instrumental. I mean, Barbara and I look at things from different ways. I mean, I'm an engineer. She's a scientist. You know, I mean, but you know, those different viewpoints, you can disagree in an agreeable way, and you can disagree and move forward. And Barbara on the negotiating team was instrumental, I think, in giving credence to the agreement.
Thank you.
Bob?
Well, the agreement has a lot of things in it.
How many words?
One of my questions all the way has been, is there a reduction in the 40 million? It's capped, but the earlier estimates were half of that. And we haven't been able to accomplish that. There is also a study period that goes on necessarily about the wetlands for 2 years, 2 annual cycles of water up and down the canal. So there's a study period, and after that comes back, there's a second review of this agreement. But at this point in time, the technology to be used, the actual costs, how we got from 20 to 40 is not well understood. And while there's a lot of things in here that have been well negotiated between the parties, I'm not sure this is the right thing to do. So we should vote.
Yeah, the only thing I want to clarify for the public is the 2-year study isn't just about the wetlands. It's the canal also, because it has to go through spawning cycles, the whole life cycle of the fishes.
Yeah, but there's no,
And it was just.
yeah, you're
just to go
absolutely
on- just
correct.
to be on record,
And there's no real completion date on this project. Like, there's time is of the essence, but, you know, is that 2032? And at one time it was a date in there of 2030 something or other, I forget. And it came out, so so that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. I'm not going to construct the motion. Would someone like to?
We already
The
have
motion's
it.
already been made. The
We have
motion's
the
already been
motion.
made by Barbara and seconded by
Oh,
Press.
We just need to vote.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye. Opposed.
Record show 4-1. And I totally respect Bob's opinion and concerns. No, I'm serious. But, you know,
We're still friends.
Yeah.
You're on my Christmas card list.
all right. Moving on. Item 12. Open forum general discussion on amendment to the flow agreement with Sussex County. So I'm actually going to shut up on this one for a change. Oh, actually, the prior one, do we have, oh no, this one just needs a date.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next one, 13, this is the flow agreement. I guess just in background.
12.
To be honest,
That's why I said on your left-hand side.
so this one has to do with currently we accept flow from Sussex County, and there's a winter and a summer limit. And this would increase that to a maximum of 400,000 gallons.
450.
450, that's right, we increased it. That we would accept from the county, and also an increase in the rate that the county would pay us for every gallon that they sent to us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Robin and Mike.
Just to follow up on what Tom said, that is correct. We do have an existing agreement with Sussex County on receiving flow from the county. The original agreement was dated September 28, 2016. There has been 3 revisions to this document. This would be the 4th revision. Other than some minor language clarifications and stuff, the 2 main issues that were brought up is the variation, the removal of the seasonal flow, as Tom said, to a more consistent 450,000 gallons maximum monthly average daily flow. Okay, and the other is the rate increase. Currently, it's set at $3 and approximately $3.02. That rate would go up to $5.31. That rate would be retroactive April 1st, 2025. The rate gets adjusted annually using the consumer price index for all urban customers.
And the only thing I would add is just so we're clear in terms of how this agreement fits into the global structure is, again, that's a current agreement where the board accepts flows from the county and the terms are changing as Robin mentioned. That agreement is structured to go away once the new plant is completed and the turnover of the flows goes to Wolf Neck. We don't know the timing of that, as was mentioned in the prior agreement. But so this is a change that's going to change until that transfer happens. That's kind of how this agreement fits in with the other agreement.
I move that we adopt the agreement for wastewater services between Lewes Board of Public Works and Sussex County for and on behalf of Sussex County Unified Sanitary Sewer District in connection with the transmission and treatment of sewage discharge to/from the Unified Sewer District area.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 5-0. Hans?
Do you have a public comment on that?
No,
Not till the end.
not today. Sorry. No exceptions, even for a good-looking man like you. A good-looking Swiss boy. Open forum, general discussion on amending the Lewes BPW compilation of policies. Mike, Robin?
I can take one. So this at a prior board member, we were asked to look into potential penalties for improper discharges into the system. It is quite the definition. We tried to be broad in terms of defining what would be a prohibited discharge into the sewer system, and then there's an associated penalty. A couple of things to point out, the board's current charter allows you to assess fines up to $1,000 for violation of your rules. So you would have to establish a rule, and you would establish the penalty, and then you could enforce that should there be a violation of that rule. Keep in mind that with the BPW's policy procedure, the step is, this meeting is purely a discussion as to whether you want to post it for public comment. Then the proposed rule would then be posted for public comment and considered at a future board meeting. So you are not being asked to vote today. It's purely a question of, do you want to post this for public comment? There is a blank, and that is what the amount the board of fine per violation that the board would like to impose. Again, charter allows it to be up to $1,000. It's the will of the board in terms of what penalty you would want to impose. Happy to answer any questions.
Can it be a floating fine, depending upon, because we have commercial, we have residential, and the amount of discharge from one versus the other.
The short answer is yes. The fine can be set however you want it to be set.
Or I leave it up to the board. Do you want to set it at one level, or?
How do we verify and identify
The source
of any of these? And what's the, enforcement mechanism?
I guess it was probably just on experience. If we have stuff flowing into the treatment plant that shouldn't be there, and you can go upstream at various places, and you probably usually have a suspect. But if you don't, you follow the flow and where the material is coming from.
But how is the flow in that example followed?
Well,
There's 20 different properties
well,
in the way.
there's ragging in pump stations, which isolate you. There's rags that we find in manuals. So, it's not an exact science, but, if you go down and you find something with Joe Blow's name on it,
But if
grease becomes a little more difficult.
Well, at least with grease, you suspect. Well,
okay.
cooking food.
But with the wipes, how do you know who did it and who are you going to?
Well, I think we went a long way with that already.
Yes.
Yeah.
But nobody got fined.
Right.
Right.
How do you say, I'm going to define this property, this, I don't know, ratepayer for ragging, but not this one.
I'll answer the question this way. You were hit the nail on the head on the practical question. But if today you knew that this person discharged this item into your system, you don't have a rule that you can enforce. So there's two components. There's the rule, and then there's the enforcement of the rule. Right now, you don't have a rule, and so it doesn't matter on the enforcement piece. So this addresses the rule portion. The follow-up in terms of enforcement and what that looks like is a separate question. But my recommendation in terms of how you think about this is, do you want a rule? And is there a benefit to there being a rule, including from a deterrence standpoint? That's the question that the board should consider. The second separate question of how is that rule enforced, again, is a separate question.
But if you had someone who decided not to take their whole sludge truck all the way or wanted to dump 1,000 gallons into the street, so they paid for less at the other end, you might be able to find them.
Perhaps.
We've found people doing that. Yeah.
So Mike's question is, do we need a rule to be able to enforce something?
Because I think we do know, because we've been around doing the no wipes in the pipes and education program. But we do know that there are still entities that are non-compliant.
Yeah, from memory, I think we're spending $500,000 on redoing a pump station that,
It's clogged.
that's clogged, and Sharon spent lots of times notifying people not to put wipes in the pipes, but it seems to not be, she's not very persuasive.
Jeff can probably chime in here, but the amount of ragging we're seeing in the membranes is way down. Now, some of that is the headworks.
Yeah.
But even before the headworks was rebuilt, the ragging was going down.
Good.
Is that correct, Jeff? So, we did make a hit.
Well, okay, I'm not trying to solve that problem.
Yeah.
I'm sort of reacting to, it's expensive to not have some deterrence.
I'm fully behind having on the record that we can charge people for violating this rule. But now, what is the enforcement, the legitimacy or the process of finding out who it is without a federal case out of it?
But isn't that an operations issue?
Yeah.
Robin, how are you going to do that? No, I'm joking. But, yes, you're absolutely, and there's without putting a screen on every individual house, you're not going to find it. But big discharges, we kind of have a sense of where they're coming from. And I'm not going to discuss them in public.
Okay, but even so, are we not going to have any follow-up of what the process is of identifying and justifying, you're the one doing this?
Can you put that on the next agenda?
Okay. I mean, does that make sense, or is it not a solvable problem?
I will say it is a solvable problem, but perhaps not a public discussion.
Okay.
At this stage.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, looking at the list, and I think it was characterized as very comprehensive, I wondered what the origin of the list is. I've seen lists for industrial wastewater discharge permits, and a lot of this stuff is in here, but it's even more comprehensive than what I'm used to. And I wondered about the origin, number one. Number two, if we're going to pass something like this, I think we need to do outreach, not just post it on our website, but somehow let the community know that we're going to hold them. You know, you're costing us all money when you're discharging this stuff, and finally we're going to collect some of that.
I was thinking too that some things that are discharged in there are fine at one concentration,
right? But
at greater concentrations can either damage the system or at least increase the cost of treating it.
Yes.
So should we add that to this ordinance?
Well, maybe that's of course how much you fine someone when you discover who they are. I mean, if you had, for instance, a quarry in the area and you were seeing a lot of marble dust, you could kind of guess where it was coming from, or a sculptor who worked in marble kind of thing. So there are hints.
So I'm not disagreeing that we shouldn't have, but we did a very, very large outreach effort back in COVID. And we've reached out to several facilities since then. But probably once this goes into effect, it would not be bad to go out and do another round. We have new facilities in town, new restaurants, new owners, to get them to be aware.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea, but we have done, and I'll tell you, I was in BB, and the no wipes in the pipe signs are all over that place.
Barbara, to answer your question on the origin, so Code Drafting 101 typically don't reinvent the wheel. You try to get other samples. I was not aware or able to find anything, to my recollection, in Delaware, but the language here comes from other jurisdictions in the United States. I can't exactly remember where, but this is a compilation of other similar rules from other jurisdictions.
And while I understand the press's comment about concentrations, I mean, if we're trying to figure out how we're even going to determine locations, going that extra step to concentrations is really a step.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so, because the producers are generally obvious, not always, but the thing that's putting out something strong is usually known around town, I would think. That type of materials are handled, and it would be easy to track it. I mean, we don't have a complicated town here. I think most people know what's going on and who's using what, and I don't think it's a big deal to try to tie somebody down to a concentration of some materials that would be harmful.
Anyone else's thoughts on that? I think it's a step too far, and I think starting with this, and then we could consider amending down the line. But let's get our feet, well, I shouldn't say get our feet wet.
No feet in the
I don't see a reason to wait, though. I think that's just massaging of this.
Well, how about
a couple lines into this would probably address.
Well, I guess to move this along, how about I'll ask for a motion, and then we can go to discussion and go.
And keep in mind that your policy is you can set it public comment, get the public comments, you can still make edits. And then it's up to you if they are material edits, the warrant, or if you say, no, there's been enough, from the public comment, you have that flexibility. So your choice today really is, do you set as drafted for public comment to advance the process, or do you send staff back to rework it and come back to the new version? That's the question before you today.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
We need an amount to include in that.
If you want. Again, you can advance it and then put the amount after public comment.
So
But
do you have
that's
a
up.
resolution number, please?
It's not a resolution yet, because we're not approving it yet.
Okay.
What was the amount?
Then we need to
You
vote
said
on it.
there's a maximum amount
To
by
advertise it, public.
the
You
charter?
The charter allows up to $1,000. You can do one of two things on the amount. You can leave it blank and then address it when you take it up. Or if you want to start with an amount, you can put in an amount to start an amount. But again, the first question is what are you going to post for public comment?
I would like to suggest that we say an amount of up to $1,000.
Sure, you can do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
You were asking that earlier.
Yep, you can do that.
All right, so do I have a motion to
Post it.
post this and get public comment, and then we'll place it on the agenda in January?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second here. So item 14. Open forum general discussion on appointing an ex-officio BPW member to the City of Lewes Economic, Environment, and Resiliency. And we have a volunteer. So if I can have a motion to inflict this job, the Honorable Presley, I'm joking, I'm sorry. But, you know, Press is well-versed in this, and, you know, coming from our Resilience Committee, I think it would be a great asset to the city.
I've already sat in on one session, not unofficially, but I think it's going to be a good mix. It's very interesting.
Do I have a motion for that?
I move that we appoint Presley to
You can say IRC.
very nice, to representative of BPW, ex-officio.
Second?
Second her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
You can't vote. All right, I'm going to make the suggestion we postpone item 15. City Council on Monday took it up and they didn't take an action. The fire department is going to present in January?
No, they're going to present to the Finance Committee next week to present. So council has not yet received a recommendation from the Finance Committee.
Right. And I would suggest that we do the same thing, that we have the fire department present to our Finance Committee and then put this back on the agenda in January.
Good idea. Yeah.
Does the donation need to be done before their annual? Because I don't know that our next meeting will be before that. No? Okay.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're
Yeah, I
fine.
mean, the fire department seems to be okay with it.
Okay.
So. All right.
Yeah, one of your rules.
All right, moving on. 16. Open forum, general discussion on electrical easement assessment agreement with Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park. Mr. Hoffman?
Yes, so this is a follow-up from all the discussion, and I believe there was a conditional use. There was some approval that was granted for Donovan Smith. And through that process, it became clear that the board does not have recorded easement for the electrical infrastructure. So we had what I would consider good discussions with counsel for Donovan Smith. And this is an easement. It's the board's standard easement with some additions. The two notable additions are the easement itself calls out where the poles are, but then there's a blanket easement essentially for where the wires run at wherever those wires may be. And there's also the ability here that in the future, should additional utility facilities be required for electrical service, that the property owner is committing to supporting that or not unreasonably withholding consent. So I think it's a good solution to current infrastructure, but then also future infrastructure on the BPW's current form.
So I just this additional background for the record. The issue is that there are two sets of poles in Donovan Smith. There's the ones that are on the right of way, which are BPW poles, and then there's a smattering, it's almost 50% of other poles that are not BPW's poles. And they're behind, they're on private property. So this is to address those poles, the non-BPW poles.
No, so this is there are it's the BPW poles are along the right of way, but then they also loop into the community. So and then there are non-BPW poles that are part of the Donovan Smith private system.
Right.
So the easement is to grant the BPW rights for the BPW poles, but the benefit is that it clearly delineates what a BPW pole is versus a private pole. So there's no confusion in terms of who's responsible for what infrastructure.
Okay, I'm sorry, then I'm a little confused, and I thought I knew what this was. Because we have meters and mastheads on non-BPW poles that we need access to.
Those are BPW poles.
Those, whatever is on those back poles belongs to the park. They are not BPW.
Can I suggest that if we accept this and they accept this, that we go put a little tag on this is a BPW pole?
We have tags on our poles.
Okay.
There's tags on them already.
And not only that, we've also, through this exercise, determined that there was at least one pole, if not two poles, that had a BPW tag that are not BPW poles. So it was actually a very productive exercise to determine where the responsibility lies. And the property owner's already agreed. I think he is in the process of signing. So this is the BPW's approval.
So do I have a motion to approve the utility easement and maintenance agreement with Donovan Smith, Mobile Home Park?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
I have some questions.
I'm sorry.
I was waiting for a motion to. It talks in paragraph 1 about distribution wires. Should that be defined, or is that a term of art that needs no definition?
Maybe pull it up to make sure I'm referencing the correct thing. I believe it is a term of art, but in section 1.
Section 1, about halfway down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Term of art?
That's right.
Okay.
I was trying to see if we put it up earlier, but I think that is right. Yeah, because we actually went back and forth on that term. So yes, it is.
Looked at it and said yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
transmission line first.
Okay.
That's right.
And my second question was in paragraph 4, maintenance of easement area. There are two kinds of maintenance in this paragraph, and I wondered if that would be confusing.
So the intention there is the BPW does not want to undertake an obligation to mow the lawn and do your regular maintenance there, but it is BPW infrastructure. So the poles and the lines and whatnot are BPW infrastructure. So what this says is that the BPW's responsibility is for the BPW infrastructure, But when it comes to mowing the lawn, including in that easement area, that is still the property owner's responsibility. That's why there's a difference.
Yeah, I understand why there's a difference. I'm just concerned that maybe the grantor will view the capital M maintenance as applying also to maintaining the easement area.
So that's where it comes back to, so the definition of capital M maintenance is in that first sentence, where it says costs and expenses necessary for the maintenance and repair of the utility facilities, capital U, capital F. So then you have to go back to the definition of utility facilities, which is specific to the BPW's transformers, poles, lines, and otherwise.
Okay. Those were my questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Items for future agenda. We have plenty of time to just put them into Robin, so.
Okay.
Okay, so now our second call to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the board on matters listed on the agenda should make the request known at this time. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. No action or board discussion, including answering questions, will occur during the public comment period. However, the board president may ask staff to review a matter, and any of the boards may ask for a future agenda. Anyone? I don't see anyone. Hans?
No, okay.
Defer to my elders.
Ooh.
No. Again, Alan Roth, 437 Kings Highway. First, thank you for the clarification earlier. Some of you are engineers, some of you are scientists. My last math class was in 12th grade. So, I will have to go study the difference between annual average daily flow versus average daily flow. Maybe some of you can help me understand that.
Well, you can also try average daily flow on an annual basis.
You're not helping. I just want you to know, because I had only 3 minutes before, I have only 3 minutes now. In reading the agreement, I did see the next sentence, which indicated that you have the right to ask for more. And that the county shall not unreasonably deny your request. The only observation I would make is that this agreement is good for 30 years. And myself included, as well as I think most people around this table, will not be here.
Probably not.
And I all day today.
We will not be here over the course of 30 years. We're all familiar with the difference between the rate at which the city of Lewes is treating development within our current boundaries versus the way in which the county is treating development just outside our boundaries. And what I would be concerned about is that other 80% in that 4.0 million gallons per day not get so filled up that when you come before the county and say, we'd like some more, that they come back in a future generation and say, sorry, we don't have any. So please keep that in mind in terms of, as our relationship develops with the county, that is on their minds as well as ours. Thank you very much. It's great work that you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the senior Hans Medler.
Oh, I think so.
I think we got another.
Jay Doniker, 1012 Bay Avenue. First, I want to compliment you on the communications that you had regarding this agreement you just approved. Second point I'd like to make is in regards to your substances that you want to control going into your sewer system, concentrations where applicable, I'd strongly recommend that you include them. We did the same thing in our city where I was mayor for 16 years. And what happens is you discover substance that you want to go after somebody, and one of the conversations is always, well, what about this person over here? They haven't. And so you kind of need to have a level that trips the enforcement action. Otherwise, you get into a lot of whataboutisms. And all of a sudden, you're trying to prove why this person's worse than this, and you don't have anything to fall back to. So for the substances where it's indicated, having concentrations will really help. And it'll also keep people from using this ordinance to go after somebody that it's just a minor infiltration. And so it gives you a little bit of more solid ground of when you really need to step forward with enforcement.
So staying within the rules, what I'm going to ask is, what city did you work for? And can we get a copy of the ordinance?
City of Reedsville, North Carolina. And we wrestled with this over a period of 25 years.
Okay, no. Plagiarism is the best.
And there should be a good one about it.
Thank you.
Now the most honorable and senior, Hans Vedder.
Good evening, Hans Medlow speaking for Sussex County, and I just confirmed with the administrator. It is the plan to have the agreements, both of them, before County Council in January for final action and execution. And I certainly like to really sort of mirror what Ms. Curtis said about there was a lot of give and take, and like certainly we weren't happy with everything, and you weren't happy with everything. So and that's important. And because of the unknown timeline, remember the study period is tied to the dredging in the canal, which was delayed by a year, which takes the canal study forward. In addition, we also have the technology evaluation, which was one of Barbara's requests. In the agreement, we work on that. And thirdly, like we have to have the one lagoon empty to build the facility in there. So all these things move into the timeline, and only when they are decided can the design start. And only when the design is complete can the permitting begin. So would I like to see it built in my lifetime? I sure would. But I'm not so sure. But that is not something we have control over. And I heard you loud and clear. The question, and your counsel asked the question many times, why don't we put a date on it? Because we don't know a date. I wish I did, but we don't. So, having said it, I'm very glad in my career I could get it done, because I remember the first agreement Darren and I talked about in early 2016, and almost 10 years later we have a much more comprehensive agreement, and I think both entities can be very proud of the future generations moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Todd, did you want to add anything, or no? You follow instructions very well. All right.
There's one person, there's two people online. I don't know if anybody.
No comments.
Okay.
All right. And then, so let's go to public culture press, Bill.
I'm good, thank you.
And so do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.